Hi guys. Well, I've talked about the hardware, the peripherals and the interfaces of the two major consoles this generation, so it's about time I talked about the games. Before we get started, I need to state exactly what it is I'm going to be covering here though, so let's get to it. Firstly, I'm not going to be talking at any great length about cross-platform titles here. I've covered the slight graphical superiority of the PS4 in the hardware section, and I said then that there's very little to choose between the two consoles in actual real-world gaming. And that still stands. Nevertheless, the PS4 does have a slight edge as regards graphics, so if you're only interested in cross-platform titles, aren't at all interested in the Xbox exclusives, and could use either controller or user interface, you're perhaps better off with the PS4. That's a big if though, and I suspect that most people are at least a little bit interested in the console exclusives. And that's what I'm going to be covering here. The first thing we have to do is define the term exclusive for the purposes of this video, so let's be clear. What I mean is console exclusive. In other words, a game that's released for the Xbox and not the PlayStation will be referred to as an exclusive even if it has or will be getting a PC release. And yes, I know some people only consider something to be an exclusive if it's released only for the Xbox or the PlayStation and no other platform. And that's fine, but I'm not going to get into that debate here. There are good arguments for either position, but the above definition is what I'm using, and that, as they say, is that. If you want to debate the issue, feel free to wade into the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe. That way you can keep up with what's being said, and of course be first in line to see my next video. Also, I'm not going to be talking about download-only games here. This is entirely about retail release games, games that can be bought on disc as well as digitally. I will allow remasters, however, so Gears of War Ultimate and The Last of Us Remastered will be permitted, as will the Nathan Drake collection among others. Right, so now we've got all the preamble out of the way, let's get to talking about the games themselves. Firstly, it might come as a bit of a surprise to many Xbox fans to hear that the PS4 has actually had quite a few exclusives. In fact, the PS4 has had more exclusives than the Xbox One. It was actually quite a shock to me, as I've been happily playing my Xbox games while moaning about the lack of content on the PS4. And a friend of mine, who has both the PlayStation 4 and the Wii U, is always telling me how he spends far more time on the Wii U than he does on the PlayStation. So why is there this perception, among Xbox fans especially, that there's a lack of content on the PS4? Well, numbers don't exactly lie, but with games, as with other art forms, there's often more to it than that. There's also the issue of quality. And now, that's a very tricky issue, as whether a game's any good or not often comes down to personal preference. There have been many times I've found myself enjoying products that reviewers think are rubbish, and I've also been left frowning in response to a positive review of a game or movie or book, etc. So here's a list of Xbox exclusives and PlayStation exclusives. Let's take a look at them. As you can see, the PS4 does indeed have more exclusives than the Xbox One, but I'm sure you can also see something else. Most of the recognisable games belong to the Xbox. Let's break it down and look at the games that most gamers would actually accept as proper AAA exclusives. Now, obviously my bias is going to show here, but the games I think qualify for the Xbox One are these: Dead Rising 3, Forza Horizon 2, Forza Motorsport 5, Forza Motorsport 6, Gears of War Ultimate, Halo the Master Chief Collection, Halo 5 Guardians, Rare Replay, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Rise, Son of Rome, State of Decay Year 1 Survival Edition, Sunset Overdrive, Titanfall, and, at a stretch, Zoo Tycoon. And for the PS4, we have Bloodborne, Drive Club, God of War 3 Remastered, Infamous Second Son, Injustice Gods Among Us, Killzone, Knack, The Last of Us Remastered, Little Big Planet 3, The Order 1886, The Talos Principle Deluxe Edition, Uncharted the Nathan Drake Collection, and Until Dawn. Obviously these aren't exhaustive lists, but I do think they represent the best of what is on offer from the two consoles. Now, it seems like a fairly even list even when broken down like this, But when I look at the list of the games for Xbox, there are only two that I haven't played: Zoo Tycoon and Rise of the Tomb Raider. And I've done a video about Rise of the Tomb Raider and why I didn't buy it. So if you want to have a look at that one, I'll put a link. Every single other game in there is worth playing. Yes, even Rise Son of Rome, which I played prior to making this video. It's actually a beautiful looking game, and while shallow, is great fun for short periods, especially at the price you'll get it for now. Contrast that with the PS4 games. The Last of Us is one of my all-time favourite games. Bloodborne, despite not being my particular cup of tea, is a classic in the making, and the Nathan Drake collection is worth anybody's money. But beyond that, I'm hard-pressed to find anything worth the effort. Drive Club's okay, but it's no Forza, and both Forza Motorsport 5 or 6 and Forza Horizon make it look unfocused and lacking. Killzone is a yawn fest, and the others, well, to be honest, I've not even bothered. If you're into Little Big Planet, then the latest iteration may sway you on its own, but again, it's not really my cup of tea. In short, for me at least, despite having the larger number of titles, the PS4 lacks real quality in depth. Of course, the same could be said for the Xbox if you don't like the games on offer, but I do think the sheer number of quality AAA titles from the Microsoft camp speaks for itself. As I said at the beginning, if you're happy with multi-platform games such as Destiny, then the PS4 could be for you. And it's a good console. But for me, the Xbox One exclusives are far better in terms of the variation and quality they offer. At present. Things could change as time goes on, but for now at least, the Xbox has the edge. But as always, you may think differently, and that's entirely your prerogative. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think the Xbox has the better exclusives? Do you think Sony has the edge? And what do you think of the lineups for the coming year? I'll be doing a video on that in the coming weeks, but in the meantime, let me know what you think. And I'll speak to you guys again soon. Bye.